Lennox Land, though, Ken, coming into this kart for the first time, at this track for the first time, but boy, was he quick yesterday.
Well, he certainly was, and I was speaking with, I think it was Mike Wilson, 6 times world champion, and we were saying, if you're a good driver, you're going to be good in any conditions. Jordan Lennox Lamb last week was racing KZs, is also racing KF as a CRG Works driver, and when he was told he was going to do a little bit of Rotax, fine, no problem for me. There are 1 or 2 people who don't like jumping the classes, but Jordan Lennox Lamb said, hey, I'm racing in the karts, that's good enough for me. Sean, of course, alongside him, has jumped classes, if not categories, if you will, still in Rotax, but he was so good in seniors and he's pretty good in DD2. Like I say, if you're a good driver, you're going to go well anyway. Ferenc Kankshaw, second in the championship, lining up with Sandro Lukovic. Lucas Orrick, much improved British driver on row 3, alongside the Canadian Ben Cooper, the reigning world number 1 at this level. Been a world number 1 in seniors on 2 occasions representing Great Britain. Now that he's resident in Canada, a world number 1 as a Canadian, if you will.
That's right. Ben Cooper had a disastrous start to the year in terms of the Euro Challenge because he didn't get a lap in qualifying in Belgium. And the team had to work into the early hours to sort out some rather large engine dramas. They even went to a nearby circuit and tried to test the car in between qualifying and the race, and then of course he had to stall all of his heats at the back, but Ben being Ben came through very well indeed. He didn't get onto the podium in Belgium, but he certainly went very well in the races. He came through quite strongly, and he's 6th in the championship as a result of that. He had a particularly good final actually, in which he I think he was penalised a bit in the end, wasn't he, because we ran off the circuit, but it looked like he would have got on the podium. He finished just off the podium in 4th place, which 4th place at the when he didn't even do a lap in qualifying was a terrific result, wasn't it?
And another illustration of how this guy just hits adversity on the head and says, look, I'm just going to get on with it. So, Jordan Lennox Lamb and Sean Babington on the front row, Sean on pole position. Just looking a little bit further back, Ferenc Kankshaw, Sandro Lukovic row 2, Lucas Orrick and the aforesaid Ben Cooper row 3. Matthias Detige and Antonio Piccioni 4, Pascal Marscal and Marcel Skirmer, the Germans, completing the top 10 on row 5. So, 10 laps, and Sean Babington getting a much, much better start from pole position. Jordan Lennox Lamb in kart number 661, very slowly away. Jordan Lennox Lamb will be disappointed with that. Ferenc Kankshaw making his presence felt. Sean Babington's got the angles right, though. The speed carried through there is by Ferenc Kankshaw. Ferenc Kankshaw number 2. And really putting the pressure on Sean Babington. They're side by side down the back straight on the opening lap, and the Hungarian takes the lead from the Brit. So Ferenc Kankshaw, who for a long time raced with us on an Austrian licence, but now back to his native Hungarian licence, taking the lead 2/3 the way round the opening lap from pole sitter Sean Babington. And the big disappointment at the start, Jordan Lennox Lamb slowly away from the off-pole position.
That's right, yeah, of course, learning the kart this weekend and also learning now wet conditions on this track. We got a bit of carnage at the back of the field, a couple of karts coming together, one of them spinning and rejoining straight away. But at the sharp end, the leader's already coming through towards the end of lap number 1. And Ben Cooper across the line as the race leader with Sean Babington on his tail. So you got a world champion and then a European champion running first and second. Ferenc Kankshaw, the Hungarian driver, another very tall driver who was very impressive with his performances all weekend long. He's there in 3rd place, but as Jordan Lennox Lamb just got ahead of him, there was certainly some swapping and changing going on there. In fact, it's Lucas Orrick
going forth, yeah. Lucas Orrick really taking advantage there. Thanks for putting me right with calling Ben Cooper Ferenc Kankshaw, but Lucas Orrick, you spotted it perfectly. Absolutely opportunistic there, taking those places where they offered themselves.
Yeah, good move that by Lucas. He just got the better run on the two ahead were battling, and he got ahead of both Ferenc Kankshaw and Lennox Lamb. Ferenc, don't forget, second in the first round of the championship.
Quick word on the Masters. Flo Lambard is 10th on the circuit, leading the Masters. Dennis Crowe 16th on the circuit, second in the Masters. Tamsin Germain 18th on the circuit, third in the Masters.
Right, so half a second the advantage at the end of lap number 1. I think if anything it's grown, and Ben Cooper looking good here. Didn't have the best qualifying ever, but as I said yesterday, anything that was better than what he got, which was no laps in qualifying in Belgium. He's 1.4 seconds clear now at the end of the second lap of racing, pulling away from Sean Babington. And forget they're up and down the gears all the time in these two-speed gearbox karts as well. French Canchar is there in third, Lucas Orrock in fourth place. Fifth place then is Antonio Piccioni, and Matthias de Tige has come up to sixth place now. So Matthias de Tige struggled a bit in qualifying yesterday, last year's champion,
looking a bit more qualifying in these conditions, a bit more comfortable.
Pleased that it's raining.
Oh, 676 going out is one of the Van Rensburg team. Luke. It's the dad, isn't it?
No, it's Luke.
No, it's Luke. It's the son. Luke Van Rensburg taking a spin from 20th place. Tamsin Germain also fell to the back, having run third, and Flo Lambert has dropped from 10th to 18th. So it's not gone well for those Masters. Dennis Kroos leading Masters at the moment in 746. From Euripides Hatzistefanis, the Greek driver, Florent Lambert, third of the Masters.
Well, looking calm for first, second, third and fourth, but it's becoming closer and closer in the battle for fifth place now, with Antonio Piccioni hanging on to the position, but Matthias de Tige is matching his lap times now. He was a few hundredths of a second quicker there. So there you can see them going through the top of the shop. On the way now, 5th and 6th into turn 3. Then they turn left through turn 4. And the second of those two karts through that turn is the champion from last year, Matthias de Tige, the Belgian driver, who's looking more and more comfortable as the conditions go on. Don't forget he's come from the 4th row of the grid as well. He's come from 8th position, so he's picked up 2 places. Behind them in 7th place, you've then got the number 642 kart, which is one that's also made a bit of progress. Nicholas Olsen from 15th on the grid. Jordan Lennox-Lamb fell right down the order on the previous lap.
Yeah,
didn't he
dropped down to 10th place, but he's just redressed that a little bit, getting back up to 8th, Chris.
So Lennox-Lamb having a moment somewhere a couple of laps ago, now coming back up, and look at that. It is still very slippy out there, even though the tyres are getting up to temperature a bit more now. Even the likes of Ben Cooper pushing hard and trying to explore the limits. He's flying along though, 1 minute and 8.7 seconds. He's half a second quicker than Sean Babington. Sean's just done his personal best lap of the race. He's only slightly quicker though than French Canchar, the Hungarian, closing the gap to him. And 4th place, Lucas Orrock, is catching them all up. Lucas Orrock, apart from the race leader, is the fastest man on the track, and Lucas now coming out of turn 6 is right on the tail of the 3rd place kart of French Canchar. You'll see them coming down the back straight anytime soon, and there's a bit of change. Lucas certainly looked to be going for it. I think he might have squeezed through. Lucas Orrock quite possibly has done the move, pulled it off and got through to 3rd place. The tall figure of French Canchar looks to be the one at the back of that duo, and wait and confirm it when they come back around. But yeah, I think Lucas has got the job done, hasn't he?
Looks like it. Bottom of your screen, good pictures here on RGMMC TV, bringing you the best of the action. Lucas Orrock, kart 606, Ferenc Canchar, kart 629. Race leaders setting off on lap 5 in just a moment. Here comes Ben Cooper round to do so. Setting off on lap 6, excuse me. This is the half race distance, so 5 laps gone, 5 to go. Ben Cooper's lead 2.7 seconds over Sean Babington. All looking very easy for Ben at the moment. 1 or 2 back markers going rather weakly, which is Euripides Hatzistefanis in particular has suddenly lost all of his poise and doesn't really look at all comfortable. Sean Babington holding on though, 68.83 is just done, as against the 69.02 of Lucas Orrock behind him. So Sean Babington ought in this second half of the race to be relatively safe from an attack by Lucas Orrock. Incidentally, Jordan Lennox-Lamb gained another place on that previous lap, up to 7th, and Dennis Kroos, the Masters, the best of the Masters, always goes well in the wet, going well in this one, just outside the top 10, knocking on the door of the 10th place behind Barry Pullinger. Dennis Kroos, 746, was in 11th place at the half race distance.
That's a back marker going through shot now. It is the 788 kart of Euripides Hatzistefanis, the Spanish driver. He's about to be lapped therefore by Ben Cooper. So the kart first on your screen there is actually a back marker. The kart second on your screen is the race leader. That's Ben Cooper. And you can see the advantage that Ben has over Sean Babington in second place. 3rd and 4th closing back up now. Lucas Orrick got third place, the British driver, 2 laps ago, but Ferenc Kanchar is closing back up onto him as they now work their way down onto the back straight. So the gap's closing between the pair of those in third and fourth positions. They're about 5, nearly 6 seconds behind the top 2, but they're well clear of Piccioni and De Tige in 5th and 6th. They're free to go for it in the remaining third of this race. Matthias De Tige still has not been able to find a way ahead of Antonio Piccioni, and the gap between the two has grown now to 9/10 of a second. Back up to 7th place has come Jordan Lennox Lamb now. And just moving up to 8th place is Marcel Schirmer, the German driver.
Yeah, another German, Pascal Marcel, has got one of the fastest times on the previous lap, but is not in the top 10. Rather think that he had a moment that we didn't capture, because he has gone well earlier today in the wet as well as in the drier conditions previously. Pascal Marcel in kart 643.
That's right. So in terms of the Masters drivers, it's Dennis Kroos that leads the way back in 16th place, and they've got the 2 Van Regensburg.
If I could just jump in, Chris, yes, he does lead the Masters, but he's dropped 5 places,
yes,
or 4 places. He was 11th to 16th. So Dennis Kroos has just gained a place back to 15th, but obviously had a moment on lap 6. And lap 5 it would have been, wouldn't it? Between 5 and 6 he had a moment, but still holds on in front of the rest of the Masters. Flo Lambert now 2nd in Masters on 18th on the track. Tamsin Germain 3rd in Masters, 19th on the track. We're on lap 8 of 10.
Yeah, Flo Lambert and Tamsin Germain have just both moved ahead on that lap of Laurens van Rensburg, father of Luke, who we saw spinning earlier in the race. The 2 South Africans coming into European competition for the first time. There is the race leader, Ben Cooper. Over the start-finish line he goes. 1 minute and 8.2 seconds. He's the only driver in the 108s. A 109.1 for Babington. Past the back markers go 3rd and 4th. It's still Lucas Orrick, only just ahead of Ferenc Kanchar as they make their way through the start of this lap. Lucas is working away at the wheel now, trying to get the nose turned in. All the car wants to do is go straight on all the time. There's so much surface water. Back end twitching through turn 4, which is particularly slippy. Turn 5's not too bad. Turn 6 is quite wet, so they have to go wide there. And then they go onto the back straight, then down the back straight, back marker ahead, and then you can see that they are almost nose to tail. So Lucas Orrick, having got the place 2 or 3 laps ago, still having to work hard to keep the man who's 2nd in the championship, Ferenc Kanchar, behind him. Piccioni is 5th, De Tige is 6th, and Lennox Lamb is 7th, but he's not catching them. A spinner there through one of the hairpins you can see on our GMMC TV from the pictures there, and this high camera shot that we have. This is the middle of that. This is the first of 2 hairpins that run back to back in the middle of the lap. And then they go through a sequence of S corners to come through to the end of the lap, which Ben Cooper now completes, and he's on to the final lap of the race. Ben Cooper's almost got the entire start-finish straight clear of Sean Babington. Lucas Orrick is now beginning to close in on Sean Babington. He's only 1.4 seconds behind him, but there's only 1 lap to go, so Sean should have enough in the bag here to hold a position. For sure, though, it looks like Lucas Orrick has got 3rd place sorted, Ken.
Yeah, Lucas has impressed me. I know he's impressed you as well. I don't think he's going to catch Sean, but a good drive by both of those Englishmen. Ben Cooper, incidentally, 3 times a Rotax World #1. Every one of those titles was won in Europe. 2008 at La Conca here in Italy, 2010 here in La Conca, and we've had a spin out there just on the penultimate turn. That's not going to affect the front running, but unfortunately that's one of our Masters drivers, I think, losing space. Don't want to name and shame, but we will tell you who it was. Kart number 777, which is Jair van Rensburg. Neither of the South Africans, father or son, having a very thrilling time. Ben Cooper, of course, winning his 3rd title in Portugal, and he's winning this race here in Italy. Ben Cooper wins it. He races for Canada, but it's the Union flag on top of his helmet. 2 Brits behind him, Sean Babington and the fast-closing Lucas Orrick in 3rd place. Ferenc Kanchar, who I promoted into the lead at the start erroneously, and I've been very impressed with Antonio Piccioni. I don't think either of us called him much in commentary, but he's just quietly gone about his business. A regular KZ gearbox driver in WSK, and coming home in 5th place in this one. The defending champion, as Chris Hartley said, struggled a little bit earlier, but finding a bit of form in 6th place. Jordan Lennox Lamb could have done better, but it could have been worse than 7th. The Germans Schirmer and Marshall 8th and 9th, and Nicholas Olsen completing the top 10 for Denmark. Well, just outside of those top 10, let's look for the Masters. Dennis Kroos finished 14th on track, but best of the Masters. Flo Lambar 18th on track, but second of the Masters. Tamsin Germain 19th on track, but third of the Masters.
So very lively race. That lots going on. Conditions getting worse and worse as the rain comes down. Let's hear from one of the drivers now. Sarah Dryhurst is with them.
Well, I'm here with Ben Cooper. Ben, congratulations. You've come from 6th to 1st.
Yeah, it was good. Bit of a crazy start right around the outside. Almost got the lead on turn 1 just by going on the outside. And after that, by the end of the first lap, I got into first or maybe the second lap. And then it was just pushing as much as I can. So I thought maybe I'd jump the start, but I'm not sure. So I thought I just need to push and try and get as big of a gap as possible. So it was good. Much better than qualifying and practice.
How are you finding the rains working out for you then? Relatively well by the looks of it.
Oh, this morning I was 17th quickest in group, and that wasn't me doing anything stupid. That was me trying my best, and we made a massive change to the car, completely turned it upside down, and all of a sudden now we feel really good. So it looks good for the day.
Fantastic. Very well done. Best of luck for the rest of the day. I'm going to try and catch up with Dennis Kroos, who's been to every single race of the Euro round. So let's walk down here now. Driver number 676. Dennis, how you doing? Quick interview, if I may.
Yeah.
How are you finding the race? How was it for you?
I prefer it when it's dry.
You prefer it when it's dry. I don't think you can say much more than that, but you've been to every single race of the Euro round. Congratulations. I mean, that's a feat in itself. You obviously enjoy it.
Yeah, it's been fun. For sure, and loving it.
What more can you say when it's raining like this and the driver still says he's loving it? Fantastic. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Yep. So, you heard from the younger Van Rensburg there. He prefers it when it's dry. Well, he would. He comes from South Africa, and they're trying to learn the Van Rensburgs these karts and this level of competition. The father and son pairing. Doesn't matter what they do. Those pair, they seem to end up tied together all the time. At Genk, they were separated by thousandths. Luke was actually well clear of Dad Laurens in that race, but then they both had spins and end up together again, 20th and 21st.
Just go back to the rain situation, if I've got time to tell you this. One of our really good drivers from the start was Wesley Orr, and Wesley Orr had not raced in the rain at all in South Africa. He said, we have no experience of racing in the rain. And I said, well, what do you do when it rains? Does it not rain in South Africa? He says, well, we just wait till it stops or we go home. Well, Nigel Edwards, our race director, just imparting some wisdom. Well, I think I've got to make an apology to those of you that are here at the circuit. Not sure that you've been getting the race commentary from Chris and myself. Online, we know that there's been a good... we've tested the sound. We know that there's been good feed of that. And you've been hearing Sarah's interviews. But sadly, those of you at the circuit, you've not. Big thank you to race director Nigel Edwards for just pointing out that little omission. Wonder how that happened.
We had a few messages coming in now on Twitter. At RGMMC is the Twitter feed if you want to send your messages or questions or comments. And from Steph Le Viscount, good luck to the DHR boys, the Dan Holland Racing boys, to Connor Jupp and to Sean Babington. Well, Sean's going well, isn't he? Second place in his first race, third fastest in qualifying. We're going to move back to seniors for the last two races before the lunch break. And one of the top man really in senior racing is Charlie Eastwood, the world champion. And from Natalie Eastwood, Natalie says, good luck to Charlie Eastwood. From Natalie, from Ray.